My next-door neighbor illegally built a shed that blocked my window and smirked. Too bad, it's on my land now. I checked the property lines, and when I took him to court, the judge's ruling left him sobbing as his wife packed her bags and walked out forever. I never thought I'd be the type to end up in a legal battle with a neighbor, but here I am. Let me tell you how a simple shed turned my life upside down. I've lived in my home in Springfield, Illinois for over 2 decades. It's a quiet neighborhood where everyone knows each other. That changed when the Thompsons moved in next door. John Thompson was a big guy in his late 40s with a loud voice and a smirk that never seemed to leave his face. His wife, Mary, was the opposite, quiet and always in his shadow. Their teenage son, Jake, was rarely seen. At first, things were fine. We'd exchange nods and small talk about the weather. But then John decided to build a shed in his backyard. One Saturday morning, I saw John marking the ground near our property line. Curious, I walked over. "Morning, John. Planning something new?" I asked. "Hey, Robert." "Yeah, thinking of putting up a shed for my tools," he replied. I looked at his markings. "It's pretty close to the property line. Aren't there rules about that?" He waved me off. "It's on my land." "No problem." I felt uneasy but didn't push it. "All right, just wanted to check." A few days later, construction started. To my dismay, the shed wasn't just close to the line. It was right on it. Worse, it blocked the sunlight to my kitchen, turning it from a bright space to a gloomy cave. I decided to talk to John. One evening, I knocked on his door. Mary answered, looking nervous. "Hi, Mary. Is John home?" I asked. She nodded, and John appeared behind her. "Robert, what's up?" he boomed. "John, about the shed. It's right on the property line and blocks a lot of light into my kitchen. Can we talk about moving it?" I said. His smirk widened. "Too bad, Robert. It's on my land now." Frustrated but calm, I replied, "I had a survey done when I moved in. I'm pretty sure part of that shed is on my property." "Then prove it," he challenged. I took him up on that. I hired a surveyor to check the property lines. As I suspected, the shed encroached 3 feet into my yard. Armed with this, I approached John again. "John, the survey confirms the shed is on my land. I'd appreciate it if you'd move it," I said. He laughed. "Not gonna happen, Robert. Do what you have to do." Left with no choice, I sought legal advice. My attorney recommended filing a lawsuit for property encroachment. Reluctantly, I agreed. The court date came quickly. The courtroom was sterile, filled with murmurs of other disputes. John looked confident, his smirk ever present. Mary sat beside him, pale and withdrawn. The judge listened as both sides presented their cases. My surveyor provided clear evidence of the encroachment. John's defense was mostly bluster and denial. After hours of deliberation, the judge ruled. "Mr. Thompson, the evidence shows your shed encroaches on Mr. Roberts' property. You are ordered to remove it within 30 days and restore Mr. Roberts' property. Failure to comply will result in further legal action." John turned red, opened his mouth to protest but stayed silent. Mary seemed to shrink beside him. As we left the courtroom, I overheard their heated exchange. "I told you this was a bad idea, John," Mary whispered harshly. "Not now, Mary," he growled. Weeks passed. The shed was eventually dismantled, but the aftermath was worse. Rumors spread about the Thompsons' financial troubles due to legal fees and fines. One evening, I saw Mary packing bags into her car, eyes red from crying. She left that night and never came back. John became a recluse. The once lively house next door now stood silent. All this over a shed and a smirk that said, "Too bad. It's on my land now." After Mary left, things didn't just go quiet. They got worse. A heavy silence fell over the Thompsons' house, but it wasn't the peaceful kind. It was the kind that felt like something was always about to break. For a while, John kept to himself. I didn't see him much, just the occasional slam of a door or the low hum of a TV at odd hours. He stopped mowing the lawn. The grass grew long and patchy. Junk started piling up on his back porch. It looked like he'd just given up on everything. I figured he'd eventually move or sell the house. But instead, he dug in deeper. One night, I was taking out the trash and heard metal clanging in his yard. I peeked over the fence, and there he was in the dark, hammering something into the ground. A string of motion sensor lights lit up the whole yard. I could see sweat on his face even though it was cold out. I called over, "John? Everything all right?" He didn't answer, just kept hammering. The next morning, I found out what he was doing. He had installed a row of cheap but tall metal poles along the property line, with plastic tarps hanging from them like curtains. They flapped in the wind, ugly and loud. The tarps blocked the entire view of my backyard and kitchen. It was like living next to a construction site. I tried to reason with him again. Knocked on his door. No answer. I sent him a polite letter. Nothing. I even called his number, but it went straight to voicemail. Then things took a darker turn. I started getting strange notes in my mailbox. Not in envelopes, just pieces of paper folded in half, stuck in there. They weren't threatening, exactly, but creepy. "You should have just let it go. Hope your kitchen enjoys the view." Not over. I showed the notes to the police. They said they couldn't do much unless there was a direct threat. They advised me to install cameras. So I did. I put up two, one facing the front yard, one covering the backyard. That's when I caught him. 2 nights later, around 2 a.m. John walked into my yard. Not just near the fence, inside my yard. He had a flashlight and a spray can. He painted something on the side of my garage. It looked like a message, but when I went out in the morning, it was just streaks of black spray paint. I handed the footage over to the police. That was the first time they actually took it seriously. They questioned him and he denied everything, of course. Said it wasn't him, must have been a glitch. But the video was clear. His face, his clothes, the whole thing. They issued him a formal warning. Any more trespassing and he'd be arrested. You'd think that would have shut him down. But it didn't. It made him angrier. A week later, I came home from the grocery store and found my fence had been torn down. Completely ripped out. Not cut, not knocked over or removed. Like someone had yanked the posts out of the ground and disappeared them. This time, I didn't wait. I called the police right away. They came out, looked around, wrote a report. But there were no prints, no tools left behind. No proof. And of course, John denied it again. The officer said, "We can't prove he did it, but we'll keep an eye on things." I knew then this wasn't going to stop on its own. So I started digging. Not in my yard, on paper. I started looking into John. County records. Court files. Anything public I could find. And that's when I found something. John didn't own the house. It wasn't his. The deed was in Mary's name only. I don't know how I missed it before. But the house, every inch of it, was legally hers. Which meant, now that she was gone, and if she divorced him or didn't come back, John might be in serious trouble. And he didn't even know I knew. So I kept it quiet. For now. But the next move, that's going to change everything. After I found out the house wasn't even in John's name, I sat on that info for a few weeks. I wanted to be smart about it. No more reacting, I needed to be a step ahead. I quietly reached out to a family law attorney and asked a few hypothetical questions about house ownership and rights in Illinois. Turns out if Mary filed for divorce and the deed was solely in her name, John could be kicked out fast, especially if she claimed he was hostile or a threat. And based on what I'd seen, that wouldn't be a stretch. The next twist? Mary came back. I didn't see it happen. One day the house was dark, empty. The next morning, her car was back in the driveway. I caught a glimpse of her through the kitchen window. She looked thinner, older somehow. She didn't stay long, maybe a day or two. But during that time, something shifted. The tarps came down. No explanation. No noise. Just gone. Like they were never there. Then I saw John on the porch, pacing and yelling into his phone. Loud enough that even with my windows closed, I could hear every other word. "You can't do this. I paid for it, you've got no right, you think you're gonna just take the house." I knew right then, she'd served him divorce papers. That same week, a white sedan showed up a few times. A woman in a blazer would go in, stay a bit, then leave. Looked like a lawyer or maybe a real estate rep, and just like that, the house went up for sale. I'll admit I felt relief. Like finally, this nightmare was ending. But John didn't go quietly. A week after the for sale sign went up, my backyard sprinkler system was trashed. Pipes pulled up, hoses sliced. That same night, someone egged my house. I didn't even bother guessing. I just checked the footage. And there he was again, hood up, but still clearly John. This time, I took everything to the police. The video. The damages. The history. They finally had enough. They arrested him for trespassing and property damage. It wasn't a long stay, he was out within 24 hours, but the real damage had already been done. Mary came over the next day. It was the first time we ever had a real conversation. She looked tired but clear-eyed. "I'm sorry," she said, "for everything. I didn't know it had gotten this bad." I didn't say much. Just nodded. She sighed and added, "He's going to fight me on everything. But he's not staying here. Not after this." I told her about the house ownership records and how I knew it was hers. She didn't look surprised. "Yeah. My parents helped me buy it. It was supposed to be our fresh start." I asked her one thing. "Did he ever do this to someone else?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Different place. Same story." That hit hard. I realized this wasn't just about a shed or a fence or some tarps. This guy had a pattern. He found quiet neighbors and small towns where he could bully his way into control. But he picked the wrong one this time. A week later, Mary changed the locks. The sign came down. "House no longer for sale." "John? He's still around. Not in that house anymore. Word is, he's crashing with a cousin on the other side of town. But he's not done yet, I can feel it." I started noticing a strange car parked a few houses down late at night. Same car, same spot. Engine off. Lights out. Just sitting. Sometimes it's there for 20 minutes. Sometimes longer. I haven't caught him doing anything yet, but something's coming. And I'll be ready. The strange car kept showing up. For a week straight, it was there almost every night. Same spot, 2 houses down. No lights, no movement. Just parked. At first, I wasn't sure it was him. But on the 7th night, I got a clear shot on my camera. John, sitting in the driver's seat, just staring at my house. That was the final straw. I took the footage straight to the police. Again. This time, I didn't walk in calm, I was angry. I told them about the break-ins, the damage, the threats, the egging, the spray paint, the notes, the trespassing, and now the stalking. And finally, they moved fast. That same night, a patrol car was stationed outside my house. Another one circled the block. They were taking it seriously now. But part of me wondered, why now? What changed? The next morning, I got the answer. John had been caught on camera the night before, not just watching my house, but getting out of the car and walking toward it with something in his hand. Something that looked like a gas can. He got within 10 feet of my garage before the patrol car flipped its lights on and pinned him. He dropped the can and bolted. Didn't get far. He was tackled right on my lawn. They arrested him on the spot. He was charged with attempted arson, criminal trespass, and stalking. I watched it all from my living room window. And you'd think that's where the story ends. But no. There's more. Because while John was finally facing consequences, something in me had changed. I wasn't the same quiet guy who just wanted peace. I was angry. I was tired. And I wanted closure. I took everything I had, photos, footage, legal papers, the full story, and uploaded it to a local community Facebook group. Not out of spite. Out of warning. People needed to know who he really was. It went viral in our town within hours. Neighbors who'd smiled at John in the past were shocked. People who used to wave at him wouldn't even look his way when he was released on bail. His cousin kicked him out. Nobody wanted him around. Mary? She finalized the divorce a week later. Changed her number. Blocked him. I heard through a mutual neighbor she filed for a restraining order, too. The house is hers now. Fully. She's repainting the inside. Fixing the yard. Says it feels lighter now. As for me, I thought I'd feel better. I thought I'd sleep better knowing he couldn't come back. And I do. Mostly. But I also learned something ugly about myself. I let it go too far. I should have pushed back the moment the shed went up. I should have stood my ground earlier. Instead, I tried to be polite, civil, reasonable. And because of that, things escalated. I don't blame myself for John's actions, but I do blame myself for not trusting my gut. For trying to keep the peace with someone who was never interested in peace at all. So if there's one thing I want anyone to take from this, it's this: don't wait. Don't give bullies the benefit of the doubt. Don't let small fires grow into house-burning ones. Because sometimes the shed isn't just a shed. It's a warning. And if you ignore it, you might just find yourself standing on your lawn, watching someone try to burn down everything you've built. I didn't lose my home. I didn't lose the case. I didn't lose my mind. But I came close. And that's a mistake I'll never make again.